So here's my thoughts on Harvest. I guess I can link to this, and I will put this in my own personal Discord as well. Put Manifesto here. I want to have a place where people can see what my thoughts are, instead of just me repeating half-heartedly over and over and over, because I don't think that's a good use of my time, and I want to value your time as well. So here's my thoughts, right? At face value, why does this matter? In some ways, worrying about the philosophy of a game doesn't necessarily matter. It's a game. It's not up to me. It's up to them. I can be an armchair dev as much as I want because that's fun. So basically, this is a thought experiment. This is a thought experiment about like what kind of game or what kind of decisions would I make? Maybe what kind of games do I want to spend my time playing? And like maybe the philosophy of what the point of a game is and how we play the games to win. There's a couple topics on stream that I talk about from time to time. One of those I've baked into this about how people win games in different ways. But honestly, like if maybe you don't like talking about philosophical things like this, and that's fine. But for those of you who do, come on in. All right, so I want to share some of the highlights from GGG's manifesto. I have those written over here. Let's put this like this. These come directly from the manifesto here, and there are segments or there are tidbits of wisdom, morsels that stuck out to me that I found were very good. So I'm just gonna read these out to you. This is these are 1, 2, 3, 4 things here that I wanted to highlight from the manifesto itself. Why would I use a regular exalted orb, divine orb, and a null when I can just get a better one through harvest? Why would I use an annul when I can just use a harvest annul? Why would I use an exalt when I can use a harvest exalt instead? Why would I use a divine when I can use a divine from harvest instead? The next one here that stood out to me is obtaining perfect items is ideally close to impossible, with very few players able to claim that they have such valuable treasures. Remember, this is all coming from Chris. Chris is the one that posted this. These are just his words here. There's another quote. But then there would be nothing left to achieve. It's grinding gear games. The people who play PoE tend to have thousands and thousands of hours in this game because it has very high player retention, because it's hard to solve a problem that's so complicated like PoE. Quote, it was an interesting experiment, and we understand that some players will likely be attached to this level of incredibly easy crafting, but it's not the PoE that we set out to make. There are some excellent memes that you can make out of a thought like this, and I like all of them. But at the end of the day, this is philosophically the kind of thoughts that GGG has when they're thinking about PoE. Do they want PoE to be a simple problem, or do they want PoE to be a complex problem? All right, let's move this over here. One thing that I want to put out as my thought of this game is like there's no right or wrong. So luckily, I have someone in my life who challenges me when I'm acting like a jerk, or who makes me calm down and think about things in a cool, calm, and collected way, and that's my wife. And everybody should have someone in their life that, you know, challenges them. If you don't have anyone pushing back in your life, I don't know, that sounds rough for me. So I hope that you have someone like that. Is it the cat? No, it's my wife. It's not the cat. All right, so there's no right or wrong. The question was posed to me, how can I feel like I'm right when it comes to harvest, when everybody on Reddit is saying the exact opposite of how I feel personally? So I need to clarify this. It's not right or wrong. There are things that are right or wrong. We're going to get to these in just a moment here. But when it comes to do you like harvest or do you not like harvest, this is not a right or wrong thing. This is a question of what kind of game do you want to play? And you cannot, I discourage you from yucking someone's yum, if you know what I mean. I discourage you from not letting people enjoy the games that they're playing. If somebody wants to play Pokemon Go and they're having fun with it and they enjoy it and that's their hobby in their meantime, let them play it. It's a great game. If somebody wants to play chess, but chess isn't for you and you're not really into it, don't tell them not to play it, right? So in a way, if you think about it like that, PoE with harvest and PoE without harvest are two different audiences. And when you see people on Reddit or people on social media who are getting in very heated debates, if you think about it like this, it makes more sense. These are people who are talking past each other, and they're appreciating different parts of the game. They're quote unquote winning the game in different ways. And that's why it seems like, oh my God, we got some heated conversations going on all of a sudden. So one of the things that I bring up whenever I talk about game philosophy, it kind of comes from Magic the Gathering. And if you're familiar with that, you know of things like, oh man, what are the three names? There's Timmy, Johnny, and Spike. These are psychographic profiles, and there's a bit more to it. This is kind of reductionist, but the point of this experiment of talking about the kinds of people who play these games, Timmy, Johnny, and Spike were their names back in the day, is to point out that people win games in different ways. Sometimes you win a game by having a perfect character. Sometimes you win a game by baiting your friends into playing it with you. And sometimes you win a game just by achieving some goal that you set out for, right? So like maybe I don't like playing apples to apples because I can't win because I want to win. And it's hard to win when me winning depends on someone else appreciating my sense of humor. You get my drift. So you might play for a different way. And this kind of has to do with solvable and unsolvable problems. Do we want gear that is good enough? Do we want gear that has like maybe 3 or 4, even 5 modifiers that I'm relatively sure that I can force onto an item? Or do I want all 6 lines of text on every single item that I have equipped to be exactly what I want? So yes, you can kill every monster in the game with non-perfect gear, but that's not how some people win. That's not the end game that some people are working toward. Some people want to win the game by having a perfect character. And it seems like, philosophically speaking, GGG says, no, we don't want you to have perfect characters. If you want perfect, you're going to have to work way harder for it than Harvest. So, my last thought about being right or wrong, which is to say, I don't think there's a right or wrong to this problem. It's just a philosophical issue, is I almost didn't include this because it's kind of a hot take and it's kind of a questionable take. And like, I want people to play PoE because I love PoE. PoE is awesome. I've got 10,000 hours in this game, but it doesn't have to cater to every audience. And that, man, it's kind of hard to say that because I don't want to push anyone away from the game. I really don't. But PoE doesn't have to allow everyone to achieve every single end game goal in every way. And by end game, I don't mean the end game of PoE. I mean the end game of a game that you invest all of your time in. If you want a game where you can have perfect gear, maybe PoE is not the game for you. This is my lukewarm take. Maybe not lukewarm, maybe it's a hot take. I don't know how that really works. This I almost don't want to include. I agree with it, but I think if you're going to push back with anything, I would be unsurprised if you disagree with me on this. But we're going to move on for right now. So I said that there's no right or wrong. Of course, I think I'm right because I'm a human being and I'm emotional. But I don't think there's right or wrong. Let's move on to this. There are things that are right or wrong. If you want to say that someone's in the right or someone's in the wrong regarding Harvest, here's what it is. Attacking GGG employees. Technically, I've seen it. This is a no-brainer. Don't attack each other, please. After this, the things that you could say are right or were handled wrong, I think timing. I'm going to pull up this clip. I'm going to link you to Steel Mage here. Let's listen to this just real quick. I like Steel Mage. I like this guy. I think he's really level-headed. I need to...
This should have been...
I need to not put him on mute, though. Let's rewind.
I thought... I'm going to stand by my take. This should have been done. The biggest mistake was this was not done in the first place. This should have been 3.13. That was the fuck up. I'm going to stand by that. I really believe that was the fuck up. 100% I believe that was the fuck up. Because what it did was it kind of like...
Enki's in chat. Good. Didn't realize that. All right. So I agree with that. When me and my Twitch chat were talking about Ritual League and GGG said, we're going to reintroduce Harvest into the game. We spent a lot of time being armchair developers and we were talking about, man, what are they going to do to Harvest, right? So we thought to ourselves, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, we thought there's no way that they're going to allow targeted exalts and targeted annuls to stay in the game. We figured that like everything else is probably the same. The Garden, they had already told us at this point before Ritual League launched. Excuse me. They had already told us that the Garden was gone. And we thought, you know what? They're going to take this away. They're totally going to take this away. And they didn't. So I agree with Steel Mage. I had the same thought 3 months ago. I had the same thought yesterday, and I have the same thought today after seeing Steel Mage before preparing this clip for you right now. I think this timing was a mistake, and I think this is quote unquote wrong. After this, I think that something that you could say is wrong, or maybe GGG is wrong about, is the priority of this rather than the priority of fixing trade or fixing performance issues, because I still don't play Ignite builds because they lag me too much, or how much clicking is in the game, or RSI, or loot radius when you're picking things up. There's a lot of things that you can criticize GGG for, and that's fine. You're allowed to criticize GGG, that they prioritize harvest instead of prioritizing these other things. I think that's a totally valid complaint. Kind of in the same vein, in this manifesto, I'm gonna go like this real quick. Control F Discord. All right, so let's highlight this real quick. Players also expressed frustration that the most effective way to get the best items in PoE was to join a Discord channel, third-party software run by people who are not GGG employees, and try to trade for these incredibly crucial crafts. Yes, getting scammed on the TFT Discord is uncommon, but it happened, and it's really bad when it does happen, and it's really bad for their reputation, right? So I think one of the misses for me when it comes to GGG is the fact that in the problem statement of this manifesto, they called out trade and they called out Discord, but in the solution, when you scroll down, they didn't propose a solution to it. I would have expected that if they proposed it in the problem statement, that they also put a solution statement in there or something that addresses it, or maybe even that they don't call it out at all. I'm surprised that they called it out and that they didn't give any kind of solution to it. I think that's kind of a miss too. I'm sure there's something else in this category, but I think like when you're saying, is harvest good, is harvest bad? Philosophically, that's kind of a subjective issue. I don't think there is a right or wrong. It's kind of like what kind of game you want to play. But when it comes to, is there something that you can be in the right or be in the wrong about? I think so. I think that's the list here. So here's my thoughts on Reddit. I think somebody in chat put this the right way. I'm not going to say their name, but I already complimented them on this. So social media, like whether you're on Reddit, whether you posted a video on YouTube and have already taken it down, whether you've posted a tweet and have already got personal attacks for it, social media amplifies negative feedback more than positive. And ain't that the truth? I would expect any change, and this has been true over the past 10 years for PoE, any change that happens for PoE, there's going to be people who approve it and people who disapprove of it. And the people who disapprove of it have way more fodder for making funny memes. And they have way more fodder for expressing their emotional discontent with the trajectory of the video game that they spend a lot of their time on, right? And I get that, right? So we need to remember, like, right now, we're going to see a lot of people who are very negative, and in the future, we're going to see some people who are like, glad that's over. Man, I love the memes that have popped up. I don't agree with them, but it's great to see all the salt, because you know philosophically where I stand. I think harvest is a mistake, and I'm enjoying reading all of Reddit. Okay, so let's move on. What's gone? What's gone from harvest? Targeted ignuls are gone everywhere, across the board. Targeted exalts, something that says like Aug Fizz or Aug Fire, those no longer exist on influenced gear. This is subject to change. We don't know whether influence is going to include synthesized or fractured, because sometimes in PoE those count under influenced and sometimes those don't count under influenced. We don't know. This is all subject to change. This is one day after the manifesto came out. What day is it? It's 3/11 right now, March 11th. What stays the same? So this is like, we've got two things that are gone, and what remains? The rest of harvest. Everything else. Everything. One important thing that we're going to talk about right now is about rerolls. So like reroll prioritizing fizz or reroll prioritizing attack, things like that. As of right now, as of this manifesto, it seems as though these are going to continue existing. So I'm going to highlight Explodey to you, because Explodey is kind of a game changer. Sometimes it makes the build safe enough to play. Sometimes it makes a build safe enough to clear delirious maps. Sometimes it makes the game fun for every build. So we're going to go like this real quick. This is a imager link. I hope that my camera's not in the way. And I tried to make this nice and big. So there have been Reddit posts that pop up, and there have been people DMing me on Discord saying, hey, just so you know, as of right now, you can still get Explodey. So let's take a look at this. We have got 1, 2, 3 going from left to right. In this first window here, we have something with 2 prefixes and 2 suffixes. We have something that has physical damage from hits taken as lightning, which is a Fizz mod. And then we also have physical damage, reflects physical damage to melee attackers. If you've ever done any kind of harvest in the past, you know that if only you could get Aug Fizz on this first chess piece that has 2 Fizz modifiers as a prefix and an open prefix, if you could Aug Fizz, you would be able to get Explodey. All right, so window number 2, second picture. Prefixes cannot be changed. The way prefixes can be changed works is it'll re-roll suffixes, but also, if there's an open prefix, it'll toss a modifier onto a prefix. If it says including a physical modifier and the prefix cannot be changed, it'll try to add a physical modifier as a prefix because there is an open prefix. And as you can see in the third window here, we have enemies you kill explode, dealing 3% of their life as physical damage. I'm going to take this. I'm going to put this in here for you in case you want to reference it. And again, I'm going to post this in a harvest section of my Discord. In here as well, this is a unlisted YouTube video, and goddamn, I'm going to list it in my Discord. So this is a clip that, strictly speaking, I haven't watched, but I was gathering resources before making this clip here for you. This is a clip of somebody doing that exactly that. I could go make this clip right now. If I needed to, I guess. We can go find somebody in chat who has these crafts available. But suffice it to say, there is video footage of people doing this on March 11th right now. Maybe this changes in the future. I would expect it not to. But this is a way of, if you have the 2 prefixes that you need, and if you have access to prefixes cannot be changed with an open prefix, you can reforge a rare, including a Fizz modifier, and it'll put, deterministically, enemies explode on it. So what's the point of sharing this information with you? Did I put this down here already? I think I did, right? Cancel. Good. So what's the point of sharing that information with you? I don't think that it's going to be nerfed. If this kind of reforge, let's call this reforge instead of reroll, reforge. If this kind of reforge crafting exists in 3.14, the next league after Ritual, I would not be surprised. The difference is it's harder to force the rest of the item to be exactly what you want. If you have like a random item with like maybe a resistance, or maybe you could like lock prefixes later on and then reforge with crit to get power charge on crit as a suffix. There are still things that you can do. And quite frankly, when I go through the mental exercise of imagining what reforges with prefixes or suffixes can't be changed, of what that looks like in the future, I'm kind of excited for it. I'm going to clarify my stance right now. If GGG nerfs this too, I'm still on board. I'm okay with not forcing Explodey on every single chess piece. But as it stands right now, it seems like Explodey is still going to be a thing that you can use Harvest to do. My opinion, along with the opinion of a handful of people that I respect in chat, and I think they're great players, is that in 3.14, as of the changes that we've heard in this manifesto, I still think that Harvest is going to be one of the best things that you can interact with. You're going to want to use your Atlas strategy. If you're an SSF player, you're going to target farm these Atlas regions and try to unlock, or like try to go to the Grove as many times as possible, like get the gear to where you want it to be. If you need like reforge with attack, you can still force -15 onto a chess piece. If you reforge with life modifiers, you can still make a recover life on block shield very easily. I like it. I'm in favor of this. I think that about covers my thoughts on Harvest over the past 24, 28 hours or so. I think that's about it. I tried to make sure that I covered all my thoughts before I started writing this down. If you have thoughts, this is a YouTube video, even though I'm recording it with Twitch right now. You can come drop by Twitch and tell me why I'm right or wrong or otherwise. It's twitch.tv/PerryThePig. Yeah, I like it. I like the memes, but I like being level-headed as well, so I hope that you can appreciate a post like this. See you next time.